Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Zcast. And once again, it is Thursday, August 28th, 2025. And today we are talking about another team from LA, but not the Chargers, this time the LA Rams. Quarterbacked by Matthew Stafford, if he can stay healthy, but we'll get to that momentarily. Now, guys, the 2024 season for the Rams was pretty good. Now, they did start very slow. They started their first 5 games of the season 1-5. They also played some, not the best teams that weeks in the early weeks of the season. So they lost to the Bears, some pretty uncommon losses for the Rams. And they did start, of course, 1-4. And a lot of people thought that was it. They were done. But now, obviously not. They have a very great coach, one of the best coaches in the entire NFL, Sean McVay, obviously Matthew Stafford. So they were able to turn it around, and they finished, again, 10-7, and that meant first in the NFC West division, which is kind of always seems to be up for grabs. Now, the Niners had a very off year for them, so they weren't really much of a competition to the Rams, but still, usually the division is up for grabs with multiple teams kind of fighting for that. So, but the Rams did finish 10-7. They won. Well, they hosted a playoff game for home, but unfortunately they had to go all the way to Arizona for this playoff game, the wild card game, because of those fires back in January. So unfortunately, the Rams were not able to host the playoff game, but they did defeat the Vikings in the playoffs, round one in the wild card. But they lost in the divisional round at the Eagles, who of course went on to win the whole damn thing. They lost 28-22 in the snow. Now, the second half was covered. The field was completely covered in snow. It was a straight up blizzard. The first half, different story. The Rams and Eagles were playing a very even game, I'd say. But once the halftime hit and it started to snow really heavy and stick, the Rams could not stop Saquon. He ran all over them. They couldn't tackle him. He was slipping through tackles. He finished with almost 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he cooked. Now, again, the Rams could not stop Saquon in the snow. But if you ask me, that was a completely different game in the second half. And if the weather was different, you got a team from Los Angeles coming all the way to Philly in the middle of the wintertime. They played pretty well. Again, Matthew Stafford played well that game. They had a shot to win. I really do think the Rams had a shot to win that game. And I'll say this, if I'm the Eagles, I would not want to see the Rams in the playoffs this year. Also, I think this is a big reason why people are very high on the Rams this season, because they did, of course, lose to the Eagles, but they played a very tight game on the road, which is, tough to do. Again, a team coming from California all the way to Philadelphia in the dead of wintertime. It's tough, but they played them very tough. And again, they almost beat them, but again, they just could not, unfortunately for them, stop Saquon Barkley, who he should have won MVP last year. Not quite, he had a great year, of course. Now, the Rams saw a pretty good season from Matthew Stafford. Not his best year, but certainly not his worst. He finished with 3,700 passing yards and 20 touchdowns. We also saw Puka Nacua, year 2 Puka, had not as a big year he did his rookie year, but still a pretty solid year for Puka Nacua. Finished with 990 yards and 3 touchdowns. And we also saw Cooper Kupp finished with 6 touchdowns. Now, their main threat on offense last year was actually Kyren Williams, who finished with over 1,200 rushing yards, had a very good game. He's a very good receiving back as well, but he had over 14 total touchdowns, which is very impressive for, I believe it was also his second year last year. Now, he is a very good player. Now, obviously, they have an above average offensive line, so obviously, the running game should be a big impact. And obviously, you got an older quarterback. It really helps to have a running back who can, kind of carry you like that, especially, Kyren Williams. So absolutely great year for Kyren Williams last season. He established himself as a top 10 running back in the NFL for sure. Maybe 7, yes, but, very good year. Now, let's talk about actually, one more thing last season. The Rams made their first-round pick in about 10 years, it felt like, since they took Jared Goff. Of course, you guys remember they made all those trades. So they did not have a future first-round pick until 2024 last year, and they actually selected Jared Verse out of Florida State, who ended up winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. So a very good pick for the Rams. A linebacker, actually edge rusher out of Florida State. Yeah, so big addition for the Rams last season. He was good rookie last year. Now, actually won Defensive Rookie of the Year, of course. So, talking about the 2025 season for the Rams. Now, a bit of an issue right now is Matthew Stafford. We're not sure about what his injury issue is, like his back. There have been a lot of reports about him being able to go for week 1. He did not participate in as much training camp as you would have liked him to see. Now, of course, he is an older quarterback, so he doesn't necessarily need all that, practice and reps as much as someone else would, but still, you want to see him out there, and it's a bit scary for the Rams. Of course, all this hype for the Rams kind of goes out the window if you don't have Matthew Stafford. Of course, now they are smart, and they have Jimmy Garoppolo, who's obviously a capable starter. And if I'm the Rams, I'm preparing him. If I'm Sean McVay, and I think he is already doing this, he's a very smart coach, I'd prepare Jimmy Garoppolo almost as if he's the starter, just in case. You almost never know what's going to happen to Stafford. You hate to say it, but, one hit could kind of knock him out, and you just don't know what's going to happen. Again, a back injury for a over almost 40-year-old quarterback, that's got to be very tough. And you just don't know what's going to happen. So anytime you have an old quarterback, you gotta have some options at backup. And now they also have Stetson Bennett, who, of course, we all know him, two-time champion there at Georgia. He's looked okay in the preseason, but again, I'd feel like they should be preparing Jimmy Garoppolo to potentially be the starter, just in case, at least to have a better control of the offense, more than a typical backup quarterback would have. So, talking about the Rams, they made a big move this offseason, including they signed wide receiver Davante Adams. Yes, you guys see here this autographed Davante Adams ball. They signed Davante Adams, who I think is going to be a great addition next to Puka Nacua. Now, unfortunately, they did lose Cooper Kupp. Oh, not unfortunately, they released Cooper Kupp. He signed with the Seahawks, so they lost Cooper Kupp. They replaced him with Davante Adams. Wow. Talk about a big-time signing for Matthew Stafford. I think Adams and Stafford will potentially be what we saw Adams and Aaron Rodgers be in, Green Bay. That type of chemistry they had. They also signed defensive tackle from the Chargers, Poona Ford, who is a big-time addition, I think. They already have, the Rams have one of the youngest defenses in the entire NFL. They've built a great young core, including guys like Jared Verse, mentioned before. Jared Verse, last year's Rookie of the Year on defense. They also have second-year player Braden Fisk, another defensive tackle out of Florida State. Pretty good guy there. As well as linebacker Byron Young had a very good rookie season as well. So, you got some good young pieces on defense I like. Also, their secondary is a bit sus, if you ask me. They do have Cameron Curl. I'm a big fan of him. I think he's a very solid player, but again, I'm still a bit concerned about their secondary. Their cornerbacks, they have Darius Williams, is okay, but again, I'm still a bit concerned about their secondary. I'd like to see them maybe address that a little bit if they can. Now, their draft. They had a very solid draft again, too. They did not have a first-round pick, but I think they probably nailed their picks. They had their first pick of the draft was in the second round. They picked tight end Terrence Ferguson from Oregon. I think he's going to be a great fit to this offense. He'll probably start to back up Tyler Higbee. They still have Tyler Higbee, but I think he's going to be a potential threat for this offense. They also drafted out of Auburn Jaquez Hunter, another stud running back who's going to be a great fit next to Kyren Williams, I believe. Now, of course, the Rams. They did build together. They built one of the best receiving duos, if you ask me, Puka Nacua and Davante Adams. I'm a big fan of that. I think that's going to be a pretty scary duo for secondaries to go against. Again, I'm a bit concerned about their defense. Or no, not their defense. Their secondary is a bit concerned. But again, I still think they have some great young pieces on their defense that could help them. And they're obviously building their defense up the right way, which is great. So obviously, good for them. They're nailing their draft picks on defense, which seems great. Again, their offense, I would like to see, again, they do have some of the top, one of the top receiving duos in the NFL now, but I could say they could probably use one more receiver. They also have Tutu Atwell, who's been a pretty good speedster receiver. He's not terrible, but, he's had some drop issues in the past. I'd be concerned about that. They possibly want to add one more receiver. You also have, again, Tyler Higbee and rookie Terrence Ferguson, as well as Kyren Williams, with an above average offensive line. So I'm expecting big things. Now, of course, this is all assuming Matthew Stafford stays healthy. If Jimmy Garoppolo has to start more than half their games, I don't expect him to be, not really as good. Unfortunately for the Rams, I hope Matthew Stafford's healthy and he can lead this team, to where I think they should be. I think they should finish. I have them finishing 12-5. Yes, first place in the NFC West once again, finishing 12-5. They have the roster. They have the talent. On paper, this offense looks very, very scary. Of course, all depending on Matthew Stafford's health. That's why this is so concerning about his back. Again, it's a back issue, which, again, could be very concerning for an older quarterback. So you got to keep an eye on that. Once again, I expect Sean McVay and the offense to be coaching and to be getting Jimmy Garoppolo ready as if he was the starter, just so he's prepared in case, boom, you got to go out there. He's got to be ready. Of course, he is a capable starter if you need him to get you some games, out of Jimmy Garoppolo. He could definitely win you some games. So, guys, again, I do have the Rams finishing 12-5. They open up the season home against the Houston Texans. I think they should take care of them. Then they go to Tennessee week 2. They'll probably be Cam Ward's second start. I think they should handle that. And then week 3, a rematch of the divisional game at Eagles week 3. I expect the Rams to beat the Eagles for revenge in that game. Again, I think the Rams will prove they were the better team last year. Who knows? But also, yeah. So, guys, thanks for watching. again, I will say, again, it's so important. You got to emphasize the importance on this, guys. Matthew Stafford, he needs to stay healthy. If he's healthy, this team could possibly win the whole damn Super Bowl. If he's not so much. So, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. We are talking about one of the best teams in the entire NFL, the Los Angeles Rams. So, yeah, I'm going 12-5. So, again, all depending on Matthew Stafford's health. So, that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for watching, and go Ravens. This has been the Zcast. Go Ravens.